What's up, family? I realized that I don't know if I made a video about Bo Burnham before. I feel like for him, the challenge is truly to dumb down what's going on in his mind to make it uh, funny or good for like people. Um, like I don't think he's sitting there like thinking about ideas of what he can say. Like obviously, I'm sure he does that, but like I I can see, I infer that like when his ideas are going much deeper and in much more like deep directions that to then make it comedic, it requires like just simplifying things, um, and I think his like one of his biggest drawbacks is that he doesn't do it enough. Like I think if he could slow it down even more, he would be much more successful. Um, like the density of jokes and stuff makes it less funny. Um, yeah. Also, I think I saw him once at the 4th of July. Like, I really saw someone that looked like him. It was like before he was really famous, but kind of, he just had a couple of those YouTube videos and kind of made some eye contact. I really do think it was him. Exceptionally tall, and he was wearing glasses. Um, yeah, I was also trying to compare him to any other artists I felt were in a similar kind of situation. Um, but none really came to mind. I think that this phenomenon kind of applies uh, really truthfully to comedy because comedy has a this the element of laughter really makes comedy more of a like almost like a practical craft in a sense, like because there's this like goal to get a laugh, um, whereas other art forms can be kind of like, they can not serve a purpose, but they can serve another purpose or something. Like there's a multitude of end goals, maybe an endless amount. But with comedy, there's, in a sense, one goal. Um, and so for that reason, I think it's a valid critique that to take these steps to dumb down content if it makes it more funny. Um, you know, oh yeah, I was thinking about Death Grips because um, not not that I actually feel they're in that same scenario, but they 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 kind of for I don't know what reason exactly, but there's something about the music of Death Grips that brings to mind music that is more intense, more extreme, um, but that Death Grips kind of hits on this exact point of like what a large audience can enjoy as intense and extreme, and if it was more extreme, it would not have that same effect of touching so many people, and and because it has that effect of touching so many people, it can touch other fans in a particular way, even the fans that would appreciate more extreme music. There's something really mesmerizing about the creation of an extreme music that many people can partake in. There's something exciting about them, being at the top of what's palatable. Um, and I think that is a goal of theirs. I mean, from what I've seen of their other projects, it's more just that it goes in other directions. I mean, Zach Hill's music is, uh, in a way, harsher. I mean, it's much more artistic, um, art, or I can just say it's much more like art music. The other Zach Hill projects, Death Grips is, yeah, it's for sure art, but in a more commercial sense. And so, but Bo's mind is just a really very, very beautiful place. I mean, I'm just so taken by the endlessness that like it's beyond Eminem, to be honest, in the kind of uh, layered and nuance of meanings. Eminem had more with the aesthetic, with the like diction and kind of like uh, how do I say it? The sounds of the words. I'm trying to think of the other words to say for this. Uh, but like what you can see from Bo's thoughts is they're really, really far and deep. Um, I don't know. Right now, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared is coming to mind as well. Like, they're another example, I guess, of touching on a mainstream audience from having far reaching ideas. Some Adult Swim content, I believe, touches that category as well. In a sense, Tim and Eric's an example of this, but at a certain point, it just has to be exposed that some art is simply absurd, and that's going to be evocative and have this aesthetic of nuance that's not really coming from a very thoughtful place. I don't think Tim and Eric's work is deeply thoughtful. I think that it just touches on these kind of surreal elements, by nature of being, uh, yes, very, very clever and very special. Like, it takes quite a deeply talented mind to create this stuff, and of course, there's a lot of traditional comedy there, um, more than I think most people realize. But ultimately, it's not an intellectual pursuit. Um, And whereas Bo's thoughts are, I believe, inherently intellectual, um, um, and he's just someone that's so clever that he can't be famous, really famous, because not enough people are really clever to appreciate how clever he is, and which is unfortunate. Like it's interesting that the universe can produce such people, such minds, um, that usually don't bother coming to the surface, or maybe are in other fields than entertainment. Um, yeah, it's quite fascinating. Really, really quite fascinating. Um, yeah, it's interesting how people become somewhat useless uh, when their mind is so gifted. The usefulness is more about this ability to market, essentially, to economize, to brand, and to sort of streamline efforts. Not not feats of such intellectual rigor, but crafts, of course, and skills, um, perhaps talents. Um, Dave Longstreth is someone that I've spoken as highly intellectual, genius, even say genius, but yeah, to be honest, it's a variety of skills and tricks, and the magic I've begun to unwork to some degree. Multi-tracking vocals is something that can you can produce that music with just intuition of harmony and yeah, maybe some counterpoint in the later tracks. Like it's it's feasible, um, not likely, but feasible, and with a clever mind, it's no longer like in this impossible mystery field. You know, I'm sure like with Radiohead also you can work this stuff out. Surely Bjork. I mean, it's just like people are can be very very talented and work very hard and figure it out. That's just how it works. Um, Even an Aphex Twin is like working hard with hardware, and I mean, it's like, how can you even imagine how someone does this stuff? Well, they spend all their life doing it. That's their job. I mean, um, I'd like to make this as a second video, but I guess I can throw it in here. Is I've been working with this concept of stuff that's by definition non-existent, like in a few cases. One is time travel. This basically, if we ignore this whole thing about resetting the present by being in the past, because that's just you know, I don't know what you call it, but it's not a, it's doesn't have logical stability or something like, because basically, if you know, if you could change the structure of the universe such that it represented a previous state, that would be could very you could say this is still the present and that the present is just you know, shares these elements with the past, but is not actually the past, it's just the present. um, and if you want to say that the so basically you could quote time travel, but it wouldn't be time travel, it would just be a changing of the present, um, such that it resembled the past and they would be indistinguishable. It would not be the past. Um, that's the first claim. The second is this sort of notion about things being changed, but if anyone could work out this idea of how something could be changed, how it could play out one time, and then play out differently again, or how it could play out differently the first time, and if you're on one track, then all of these changes in different states could be occurring in the present, without time travel. Even the changes, if you want to create secondary time loops, this all could be done without time travel. You could just say, like, okay, there's multiple concurrent timelines, and one is like this and the other is like that. And the person that does the quote time travel is actually just, in a present copy of the past, like, I mean, in a present that is identical with the past, but is not the past. And maybe the other time loops or timelines share qualities with each other, but are not, you know, there's no going back that occurs. Um, Another is I was thinking about relationships, or rather non-relationships, kind of just fantasies, and how they are bound by this quality of not actualizing, and kind of to like get the forbidden fruit, it's kind of at that point no longer forbidden, and thus is no longer has that allure mystique. There's no way to put that into your life because the excitement is in it being a one that got away, and it being a impossible feat, and the juncture with it is not what brings excitement. It's like what you can't have slash distance itself that is so appealing, um, so that people can like this state of yearning and enjoy this state of deeply craving, but that there's a nuance to craving, that it's craving itself that we are addicted to, not our addictions, not the objects. It's just this feeling of yearning, this feeling of desiring, that we crave that feeling. Um, I feel like I noticed that full circle with a particular person who, at one point, I really felt a desire to be closer with, but could then see that it was really meant to stay in that category of desiring closeness. Um, an actual closeness is not possible nor desirable, um, and that, like, if given the option, I would not choose that. Like, not only because I'm in a relationship currently, but also that it's just not desirable at all. I was just really interested in that fact, in that place of the thing that felt unattainable. Um, and so to meet that and not attain it was to get exactly what I wanted. Um, that's really interesting for me to recognize. Um, yes, this came up earlier with BDSM fantasies as well, them coming into existence and being different in character than the fantasies, in a non-actualized state. Not that they're bad necessarily, not that they're bad at all, but just that they're completely different than fantasies in the mind. Not all the time. I mean, in the very beginning, it was extremely exciting to actualize. Um, yeah. Additionally, um, what else to put on this? Oh, in an artistic sense, um, the spirit realm, the kind of psychedelic slash dream slash imagination, creativity world, um, how much of these qualities are contingent on them not existing, these sort of flux states, undefined territory, and immortality is beautiful because it's not in the physical realm, and that there's this beauty in the art of bringing what of that can come into this world, but I guess just to be humble that not all of it can come, just to be wise and to be respectful of that. Some of it cannot come. I believe that to be a fact, that not all of it can come here, um, nor should it, because when we try to get as much as we can, we should just know that it's not